A Let's Podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. Print management, document management, get everything you need into the cloud. That is all thanks to our friends at Copiers Plus. It is November 25th. We are officially 1 month away from Christmas. But Joe, in the Triangle, we recognize this week as the true Christmas blessing. We get NC State and North Carolina, both fan bases, absolutely in disgust of their respective programs going into the regular season finale. As the shirt says from the 80s, which is super, super tight on me, and I'm wearing an overshirt. If you want to see the whole thing, you're going to have to pay for OnlyFans. I'm sorry, OG fans. You made us proud, NC State and North Carolina, because this is what it's all about. I get that the college football playoff expansion has led to some pretty wild discussions about what the bracket's going to look like, which we'll get to. And I get that ratings are up, but this nationalization of college football does gloss over what really brings us back to this sport, what really gets the juices flowing, what gets the people going because it's provocative. That is games like this between two middling programs with the exact same historic record going head-to-head as if one's going to surpass the other. Oh, no. You're tied together forever, and we love you for it, Joe. That's what this week is about. I'm hype. Let's freaking go.
It's truly, we have a lot of T-shirt ideas on this program.
We do.
It is truly a time to air some grievances. It is Festivus for the rest of us. Get the poll, put it at Keenan Memorial Stadium, and just let people go. Because after this weekend, Thursday night, you had NC State fans just not happy.
Yeah.
Which I already thought they had already cratered. Nope. They got a new one.
Mm-hmm.
And then Carolina had been kind of, I thought, righted the ship, felt pretty good. Maybe it was me because I bet on them this week. They did not show up for a football game in Chestnut Hill where there were about 20,000 empty seats. My friends at Boston College. Talk about the Dave Doran special. What an homage by Mac Brown. Hey, man. No. There's been a lot of talk about Dave Doran specials this year. But, man, losing to Boston College is right up there on the list of Diamond Dave specials. So now you have renewed irate Carolina fans against default irate State fans. One last time, I would suggest for State this year.
Yeah,
because I just do not think NC State's going to win this football game on Saturday.
See, this is where I disagree with you, and I think what happened on Saturday bolsters my point about these two programs going into this game. Okay, in fact, I'll actually bring up this chart from Chris Gallo, who we've had on this program in the past. Yeah. He does a really nice newsletter called Bless Your Chart. I highly recommend you subscribe to it. And he has North Carolina against NC State since 2013. Okay. And you see a lot of red in there, including the last three. And the one thing that I think we all recognize is that Dave Doran is still the head coach at NC State because of this game.
Correct.
There have been moments where everybody was ready to get that guy out the paint.
16 in particular, yes.
But he salvaged.
Notably Debbie.
He salvaged the year. Yeah, well, Debbie, as Tom O'Brien found out, you punted to Gio, and that ended badly for you. It's time for you to get out.
Check out this week's Law of the Wolf, by the way.
You
got a good guess this week.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Not Gio, but
that's a tease.
Good guess.
That's a tease right there. Go to ogtrianglemedia.com. But the point is that Dave Doran, and I'm going to double down on this, is still the head coach because of this game.
Yeah.
And I think what was illustrated in the Boston College loss, in which that was an absolute no-show where they didn't get into the red zone for 3+ quarters, I'm pretty sure, if I remember the stat correctly. I don't doubt Dave will have his team fired up for Saturday.
Oh, correct.
I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
What Max showed you is there are still moments where even though they were feeling good and they had this momentum and they've turned their season around, they still have that in them. And I don't trust North Carolina. I don't trust Mac Brown to get his team ready to go for this game. Because if you can't get this team ready to go for the Boston College game, what makes you think you're going to be able to match that energy against NC State and what Dave Doran usually brings? And I'm sure, I don't know, does Mac have some sort of like, they called us pieces of shit last year and you gotta, man, they planted a flag on your field the year before and you still no-showed. at Carter Finley Stadium. So that's why I am not so caught up in this. I don't expect State to win, because Dave always knows the right buttons to push, even with the varying degrees of talent we've seen out of NC State over the last couple of years. And I know that a lot of fans, and I was kind of getting on your ass about this last Thursday or last Friday when we were talking about that Georgia Tech game.
It's still looking fourth quarter.
They've had those before. That's what I'm saying. They've had those before. I didn't
want to talk about the other first.
The Cal game was the same boat.
Yeah.
With NC State, it's in there. It's in there. If, this is a big if, the coaching staff doesn't get in the way. Robert and I doesn't get in the way.
Yeah.
And I'll be curious to see if that's what usually happens with Dave. They won't get in the way because he wants to put the hammer down on the Tar Heels.
What do you think could be an outcome that would make people happy? Because I don't have a lot.
Who?
Well, you can have both sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have I think there is one outcome that would make everyone happy, believe it or not. And that would be State winning and Carolina moving on from Mac Brown. Because I don't have a lot of friends who are Carolina fans, but all of them text me and say, it's time.
Yeah.
Like, it's time.
Yeah.
To which I always reply, I don't think they will move on from him this year. I do not think, because of the uncertainty financially moving forward with the House settlement, because of the work he did for most of this year.
Sure.
I get it. Boston College and JMU, I can't excuse those.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You see JMU lose to App this weekend?
Yeah, hurt your brain a little bit. Like, I can't excuse how they performed in those two games.
Right.
I'm not going to try to.
That's fair.
But he's actually done a pretty good job this year. Given everything that's happened.
I agree.
Tyler Kraft. I mean, that's a lot.
No, I agree.
We can dismiss that as a guy, he never played or this or that or whatever. And it's like, no. That guy was around the program.
Mm-hmm.
Those players cared for him. There was a true love there. And that's hard to navigate all of that. And I think as a fan, or even someone with a bunch of money, you might look at it and go, I don't care overall about Mac. I'm ready to move on. Yeah. But as someone who's cool and calm and looks at it more from a 10,000 foot view and who's in charge, you look at that and go, okay, now what do we have moving forward? What's out there for us? Mm-hmm. Right? What can we do to what's gonna, like, is there a Kirk Cignetti easy button for us to push where we hire someone, they bring in 23 players and we're magically better? Probably not.
No, that's a scratch off ticket, as you like to say. That's
probably not. Yeah. Right. And the uncertainty with the House settlement, which for most people, we like to say the House settlement, it's a capital H. It's someone who sued the NCAA. It's not a House like the House of Representatives. It's the House settlement. They're basically saying you need to earmark $20 million each year for the players. Yeah. That's the bones of what we know, but nobody really knows. And that's the uncertainty that has kept us through all of this coaching inertia at the Power 4 level.
And it's worked out in some cases. Like, look at Florida.
And Florida shows you that thing, sometimes it's best to stand pat. I just think if you're Carolina and you're Bubba Cunningham and you have Mac Brown under contract for the next 3 years, now his buyout is only his base salary times years remaining. His buyout is a relatively manageable $2.7 million.
Sure.
Okay. This is not a prohibitive buyout.
It's not about the buyout.
But I don't think it's about the buyout
It's
either.
not about the buyout.
I actually do think, on the whole, again, there have been 2 games that did not go well. Mm-hmm. On the whole, I think Mac Brown has actually done a good job this season, on the whole. But I understand, because I tried to tell you this last year, when they had a team that didn't show up, it wasn't just that they didn't show up for the State game. It was the way that for 2 years in a row with Drake May, they could not finish a season. Mm-hmm. And then only Mac and only Mac can get everyone to memory hole Sam Howell's final year, which was a preseason top 10 team that finished the year with a losing record.
Right.
Those 3 years, he should have been fired for those 3 years. Mm-hmm. Okay. No, the choice was made to bring him back this year because of the financial people who back him.
Sure.
That was the choice that was made. If you weren't going to do it last year, short of them losing by 5 touchdowns,
it has to be embarrassing.
Like, there's not a reason to get rid of him.
Okay. You finally got to where I would answer the question, what would make everybody happy, so to speak?
Yeah.
if you are somebody that's ready for Carolina to move on from Mac Brown, you need NC State to put the hammer down.
I don't think this State team is capable of that.
I agree with you. So you take it as, but losing to State 4 times in a row then becomes the talking point.
Sure.
Which gets back to my original point. Dave's got this job still
Which
because
Mac's done before, by the way, to Dick Sheridan.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. So my point is, though, that this game you can contextualize it any way you want to say it's time for Mac to go, right?
Right.
Because remember, everything about Mac and Carolina was, all right, we're leaving you guys in the dust. Recruiting's cooking, yada, yada, yada. Well, recruiting's not cooking. And your record against NC State doesn't show that you've left them behind. If anything, it just solidifies the point we've been making ever since we've been doing this program. And James Gilbert did a little David Hale, Team A, Team B to illustrate this point. In games since the start of the 1953 season, Team A,
which is the start of the ACC,
which is
always the mark I like to use.
Team A win percentage 53.1288%. Team B win percentage 52.3284%. That is a 0.8003 difference. In conference, Team A win percentage 50.5952%. Team B 50.8893%. That is a 0.2941% difference. Can you tell me which is Team A and which is Team B, Joe?
I only think I can tell you that I do think Carolina has a better overall win percentage, so I would just say A for Carolina.
And Team A is NC State. Team B is Carolina. They are the same. They are the Spider-Man pointing meme. So to complete my point on all of this, if we all recognize you're the same, and I think as the years go on and people start to understand and get this religion, to answer your question, what makes everybody happy? It is Carolina finding a nice way to say goodbye to Mac and Dave Dorn reshaping the offense.
Could be.
Because even after a win, you go home happy because you beat Carolina 4 times in a row. Okay?
Yeah.
But State fans still won't be happy if Dave tries to run it back next year with the same staff.
Well, speaking of financial challenges.
That's a challenge too.
I would just say this. Mac Brown 2.0 was supposed to be this, return of the conquering hero. He was going to take us to a higher ground.
Yeah.
All of these new things were going to happen. Mac Brown 2.0 ultimately became an amalgamation of NC State football coaches.
Mm-hmm.
You had a little bit of that recruiting bluster and swagger of Chuck Amato, right?
Yes.
And then you have a little bit of that Tom O'Brien. Hey, man, we can pick off a big team here and there.
Sure.
We'll get one of those wins that make you feel good and want to smoke a cigarette and feel good about your life.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally you have the Dave Doran. Well, wait a second. Why are we beating so-and-so but losing to Boston College? The only thing I'd say that they haven't done is lose to Wake. So congrats.
Hey,
congrats. You've done the one thing NC State can't do.
There you go.
You consistently beat Wake Forest, but ultimately you are literally a mixtape of all of NC State's recent football coaches rolled into one.
Now, in the for the sake of equal time for Hey Joe, at the end of today's podcast, we did go through some Tar Heel therapy. If Friday was some pack therapy,
the people are mad.
Hey Joe today will be some Tar Heel therapy along with some other things. However, now that we've talked about Carolina and NC State, there is another team in the triangle.
There is.
That is getting it done.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports phone and curse or don't.
So I feel like this requires a little bit of a setup, right? So here's a call we got on Saturday from an 864 area code number.
Every North Carolina football team sucks. They're all awful. That's all I got to say.
This is a weekend where did ECU not win this weekend too?
Yeah, big comeback,
right? App State won, right? And who else found a way? If I can use my Dr. Ian Malcolm Jurassic Park, Duke. Duke finds a way.
It's a glorious night. Shout out to Duke for my winnings that will supply my nature's relief for my Thanksgiving holiday with my families. Thank you, Duke. Cheers, Duke. Let's do it again next weekend.
Close out the year against Wake Forest.
Duke is a home dog against a backup quarterback. Like, that was disrespectful.
That is absolutely disrespectful. And one more.
Hey guys, it's Ben from Bull City Coordinators, calling live from Wallace Wade. Thrilling victory by the Blue Devils over the Virginia Tech Hokies. Never really quite got what you meant by triangle good till I watched this game and saw Duke, despite all the turnovers, the questionable clock management there at the end, punting to give them the ball back with 10 seconds left, somehow pull out an ugly, inexplicable win with like 50 yards rushing. But hey, a win's a win, and it's triangle good. Anyway, keep up the good work, guys.
Be more like Ben. Ben gets it. Like, we got this on Twitter from ND Games Fun, who's a longtime listener. I'm not bringing this up as like a dunk or whatever. ND Games Fun has been a long time listener. It's like, okay, Joe and Joe, if we get more Duke football content, maybe more will join OG fans. I mean, better than triangle good, winning in new ways, still dominant defense, now figuring out how to throw deep and catch, chance to sweep the Big Four title Saturday against Wake. Love you guys. Those are all valid points. And hey, man, being state champs, I've seen that before. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that banner's still up at Carter Finley Stadium with Russell Wilson on it, right?
Yeah.
But that's also the very definition of triangle good, where you are bragging about being Big Four champs, state champs. That is all part of being triangle good, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't diminish the state champ thing. I like that. I like that element.
I like it too.
Mac was the one who kind of made that a real thing, and I like that. Tom was into that, and if Duke wants to, and Manny wants to be into that, I think that's cool. But here's the thing about Duke, and I know some people, I don't know where some people are on Duke if they're not believing in us when we say triangle good.
Sure.
Here are their wins against teams with a winning record. UConn 7-4, which is like, they might as well have played Army's schedule. I don't know if you've seen Army's schedule, but it's embarrassing.
Well, did you have a stat if you...
They've had 5 coaches
fired.
Fired. Yep. UNC 6-5. Those are the 2 wins with against teams with a winning record.
Yeah.
Right. Then, and they beat UConn, by the way, by 5 points. They beat Carolina by a point. Lost to Georgia Tech 7-4. Lost to SMU in a game, which is a complete statistical anomaly. Still lost the game 10-1. SMU's 10-1. Miami 10-1. So it's kind of what we mean.
All this talk about North Carolina and NC State to close out the season made me curious about what the DraftKings Sportsbook app is all about. Oh, by the way, speaking of Duke, Duke is -4 against Wake Forest to close out the year.
At home. Oh, no, it's on the road.
Oh, yeah, no, it's on the road, -4.
Finally getting a little respect as a road favorite now.
Over 53.5 is -110.
Okay.
How you feeling about that?
That will not be a game I'm playing this week.
No?
No.
Why not?
No.
Come on now.
No.
I mean, that's not, well, would you do the NC State Carolina game?
No, sir.
Why not? Why aren't you going to touch it? Why aren't you going to touch that?
Absolutely not.
Come on now.
I don't bet on state, period.
All right, so I'm looking at the NC State North Carolina game on the app right now. Carolina's a -3.5 favorite.
Sounds right.
Over 55.5 -110. Under 55.5 -110.
Okay.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. I do not have a single game parlay in the app right now.
Yeah,
but I'm sure as the week goes on, there will be. Maybe we can go ahead and do that. Right now, according to DraftKings, 60% of the bets have been placed on North Carolina. That tells me y'all are not familiar with the dynamics of the triangle. I'm just saying. But you can go ahead and download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. Use that promo code OG24 to get in on the action. And obviously, we'll talk about the game throughout the week. And if you're getting some holiday shopping done this weekend, pick up some touchdowns while you're at it, not just with the college football, but with the NFL as well. DraftKings has doorbuster profit boosts, bet one, get one promotions on all types of touchdown bets. I mean, look, you're going to want to vibe with your family, right? You want to find something like you're sitting there with like some strange uncle you haven't seen in ages. You know what you do with that? Like, hey, man, do you see this line? And then that's how you guys can commiserate. That's how you can bond.
David Montgomery, -185 anytime TD.
Right. And the kooky, eccentric aunt that you only see at Thanksgiving that, you're not quite sure how she makes money for a living, but you know what? You don't ask questions. You can ask her, hey, what do you think about these particular games? All that happens on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. It will bring you together with your family. Grab some touchdowns with DraftKings Sportsbook. They're on sale from Thanksgiving through Cyber Mondays. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use that promo code OG24 to opt in. Again, that's OG24 to opt in for these goodies. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-787. Excuse me. Let's try that again. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Blue Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. One bonus bet per customer based on the amount of initial touchdown bet and expires 168 hours after issuance. One single-use boost per customer that only applies to winnings. See sportsbook.draftkings.co. I'll try that again. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos for additional terms and responsible gaming resources. You think I should record that and just play it back tomorrow, Joe? What do you think?
That feels a lot like Joe was right to me.
Trying, good. Your team is really trying, good. Not bad or great, just trying, good. Pack Wheels and Duke are trying, good. They're trying, good.
Every single time.
What, the random Adobe stock of the guy running with the football? Like some dude who probably works at some graphics house. They're like, hey, we need a football guy. He doesn't look like he's in football shape. Doesn't matter. Put a helmet on him, put a red jersey on him. Let's go.
That brings something to mind. Have you seen this commercial where there's an Alabama fan who says high tide? He's like yelling high tide as the players get off the bus.
Yeah.
I, for the life of me, can't figure out what they're trying to accomplish in this commercial.
Okay.
Because like the first three people who come off the bus, like potentially look like they're in college and play football.
Yeah.
But then if you look at the end of the commercial, there's a guy who looks like you with long hair and he's got like gray in his beard.
Oh, I haven't seen this.
And I'm like, wait a second. Why would that guy be on the football team? And why would you go through the rigmarole of finding three people who look like actual football players
and then throw him in,
only to have like this sad, Chico and Sons guy walk off the bus and being like, wait, are you? And it's Alabama, by the way.
Yeah.
So it's not like the chances of this guy ever playing for Alabama are none.
I mean, clearly, maybe he is playing for Alabama. Look at their record. They got 3 losses, Joe.
They do.
As we tie up the college football conversation, we brought up the Duke SMU thing and where SMU is right now. Duke should have won that game straight up. +6 in the turnover margin. They should have won that game. But any good team has moments where you're like, whew, man, I'm sweating that one, but we're in the mix. And I feel like there was that big, like, wipe the sweat from your forehead, wipe the sweat from your brow, as not 1, not 2, but 3 SEC schools that were a part of that logjam for the college football playoff lost. That is big for SMU. That is big for Clemson, by the way, who we had left for dead a couple of weeks ago, and they got to close things out against an SEC opponent in South Carolina. And even though Indiana lost to Ohio State, in any other circumstance, had those 3 SEC schools not lost, Indiana was probably out because that Greg Sankey would be pushing the button on 2-loss SEC teams are better than that fraudulent Big Ten team with 1 loss that lost at Ohio State. But you lose your edge when you've got your name brand teams that we're talking the big talk all lose this weekend. So I don't see how Alabama finds their way into this. Lane Kiffin, who was talking way ahead of himself, it's probably better if we don't play in the SEC championship game. You know what actually is better for you?
Care for you.
You know what's better for you? Win this week. How about you worry about this weekend, my dude? And then, of course, Auburn knocking off Texas A&M, which kind of tilts the oddness of the Texas A&M game at the end of the season.
Before we get into a serious conversation about college football, you know how I love to bring all things back to NC State.
Of course.
You saw the person who returned the punt, which ultimately decided, turn the game in Ohio State's favor.
Yeah.
That was Caleb Downs. If you're unfamiliar with Caleb Downs, his dad is Gary Downs. Gary Downs played football at NC State.
Mm-hmm.
He has 2 sons who end up playing in college football and will ultimately play in the NFL. Josh went to Carolina.
Okay.
And now his son Caleb started his career at Alabama, enters the portal, is making $1 bazillion this year to play football at Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Only NC State could have the wolf blood, not only have 2 sons, but have neither one end up at NC State.
Funny how that works.
wild.
Funny how that works.
In part because Gary Downs married Dre Bly's sister.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, Dre Bly was on Carolina's staff, so that's how Josh Downs ends up at Carolina
Yeah.
playing for his uncle.
Yeah.
Caleb, I don't know.
Who knows?
Who
knows?
Know.
Maybe he got really enamored with the call guys.
Alabama. But
Yeah.
I watched that and I'm like, man, that is wolf blood. Only NC State, man,
Of course.
can find a way. Every other school's like, yeah, man, wow, my dad played there. I'm going there. Or my favorite, of course, Will Shipley. I have 24 family members who went to NC State. Nope. Good. Solid.
I'm fascinated by the Clemson South Carolina game now.
Should be.
Should be. Because I get, everybody's caught up in all this other stuff. But the ACC went from a couple of weeks ago where we're like, man, they're looking at one. There's the conference champion going to the college football playoff. But because the logjam has busted open, there's a legitimate conversation specifically around Miami and SMU. I think Miami's going to ultimately get to the championship game, and they're going to play SMU.
Yeah.
Depending on how that game goes, both should go, especially as things have opened up. Unless Clemson pulls the Lane Kiffin in that it was better for them not to play in the ACC championship game, go out with a win over an SEC opponent in South Carolina. But we also know how the politics are played. If South Carolina beats Clemson, because South Carolina's got 3 losses, right?
They do.
If they beat Clemson, as I mentioned earlier with Greg Sankey pushing the button, he will push the button on South Carolina being a potential 3-loss team to make the college football playoff, and they will vault up Clemson to make that argument.
Oh, yeah.
But if it's vice versa,
to prove their point, oh, look at this great win.
Right?
Yeah.
If Clemson beats South Carolina, they become a 4-loss SEC team, and they're like, but who did South Carolina really beat, Joe? Who did they really beat?
Texas A&M, Missouri.
They beat Missouri, but of course, the records have all kind of shaken itself out. So that, to me, becomes the more fascinating game out of all of the talk that we've kind of pinpointed. Talking about the ACC championship game is easy to talk about. Texas A&M, that's easy to talk about. Clemson becomes tricky, all dependent on how things go against South Carolina.
I think South Carolina has the better roster. They're one of those spunky teams that they are putting it all together here at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
But man, Dabo, I think you called this, and I said I felt like they didn't have any more of those left in them.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw this interview where he was on, like he was in the sun. He looked like he was a hostage.
Okay,
but he was out. He was outside. I think it was CBS. He was outside, and there's like sun in his face, and made him look like he was 75 years old. Like he looked very old in it. But he was talking about, the only thing anyone cares about is that it's really now the SEC Big Ten Invitational. It's all anybody wants, And I'm thinking to myself, oh man, he's got another one of those in his back pocket, doesn't he? He's got another one of those fuck you, we're still Clemson games in his back pocket. I suspect we see that on Saturday. I think if Clemson wins, they get in. That's the cleanest possible scenario.
Fair.
Right?
Fair.
Clemson wins, they're in. The SMU Miami winner is in from
Yes.
the ACC championship game. Only 3 SEC teams get in then if Clemson wins on Saturday. If Clemson loses, I don't know how it shakes out. Because you could sit here and go, look at South Carolina playing so well. My God. But guess who beat South Carolina? Ole Miss.
Right.
Guess who beat South Carolina? Alabama.
Right.
Can you see Alabama playing Auburn pretty well this week and putting it on them, and then all of a sudden them being like, hey,
Look at us.
what about us?
Yeah.
So I for one, will be rooting for Clemson because I don't want to see that 4th SEC team in with 3 losses.
Mhm.
I don't. And heck, you know who I could really make a case for is Florida. Florida played the toughest schedule in all of college football. In all of college. If you want to put anybody in, I'd put Florida in before any of them.
But unfortunately, this is not a field of 68.
No,
It's not. If you gave me a field of 68, then yeah, I can see an
Tom
argument.
Izzo would be all over this Florida team. Man.
Right. That's
Their schedule was murder this year.
But
murder.
You're going to have to, and that's where this is all headed. We'll talk about this a little bit more tomorrow as we get, anticipate what the college football playoff rankings are going to look like before the conference championship games. But one thing always holds true. All the hand wringing that takes place over the previous weeks, let it play out. Just let it play out. It always works out that way.
Housekeeping.
Big thanks to Enovana. Check them out online at enovana.com. Green cleaning solutions.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it green clean with Enovana.
All right, so we got a little bit of a different show structure this week. Obviously, we're here today. Hi, how are you? We will be here tomorrow, like we normally are. But Wednesday will be our mailbag episode. Thursday, Friday, we are off for Thanksgiving. And then we will be back on Saturday for an OG After Dark following the NC State North Carolina game. Go be a part of ogtrianglemedia.com so you can get that full OG mailbag. Again, go to ogtrianglemedia.com. And I don't know, maybe I'll ask Dimitri to do a certain tier so you get to see me in this ringer tee without the flannel over it. Joe has seen the full glory.
It's a lot.
It's something.
As you've told me.
Because it's kind of sheer.
You've told me, though, there's something on the internet for everyone.
You're right. I mean, it's key. It might not come up on camera right now, but this shirt is kind of sheer. Doesn't really leave a lot of room to the imagination.
Yeah, there's some big what was the Bo Derek? There's big Bo Derek vibes.
Oh
to
yeah.
that shirt.
Oh yeah. I'm sure that's what some people want to see. You know what? Why don't you get an actual vintage throwback that is made with modern materials and not itchy? May I suggest you go to Home Field? Now, usually we tell you to use the promo code OG24, but right now Home Field is doing an incredible Black Friday week sale. So here's what you do. Go to homefieldapparel.com.
Say, pull up that spread you put up. That Duke pullover, I really, really like that. That's 90s. That's vintage 90s.
That
really
blue
like
pops.
That. Yeah.
That blue absolutely
I like the script too.
Yeah, no,
I like the script.
The script is always good.
And they got the Booty Wake Forest. Where'd they get the Booty Wake Forest from?
They've got the flying WF, man.
Yeah.
That's a new thing. That's actually new. They just dropped that.
The Booty Wake Forest.
So
I didn't know they had zips either.
Use the promo code BFCM24. That's BFCM24. And you will save 30% off your Home Field apparel order. This is something they have not done before. The entire website is on sale right now. All the stuff that you're watching on YouTube, the corduroy hats, the satin pullovers, the bomber jackets,
for Carolina too.
the coaches jackets, all that stuff. It's all 30% off. So head on over there today and then save the promo code OG24 for another time. Speaking of saving money, that's what our guy Matt Davis does at State Farm. Check him out online at insuregarner.com, theoginsurance.com, or call 919-779-8277. And speaking of saving you time, because time is money, that's what our friends at Whitaker and Hamer can do. Just because you watch Law & Order doesn't make you a lawyer.
Mm-mm.
Just because you go on the internet and search something out doesn't mean that you have every legal angle covered. No, you need real lawyers. And that's what Whitaker and Hamer does. Check out wh.lawyer. Again, that's wh.lawyer. And look, maybe I need to make this goals, right? Maybe I want to fit into this ringer tee properly. This is where I go to O2 Fitness. Maybe that's the new content initiative. I walk into the Seaboard location of O2 Fitness, and they got locations all across the triangle. One near you. That's important. Very important. You're not going to go to the gym unless it's nearby. So
Convenient.
That's very key. That's very key. Me, the convenience of Seaboard. What if I walk in with this shirt and saying, guys, I want you to make me look good in this t-shirt? Is that challenge they'll accept?
Could do it. They could do it.
Of course they can. Of course they can. So check out o2fitnessclubs.com. Again, that's o2fitnessclubs.com. Ladies and gentlemen, look at the Carolina Panthers. How about that on Sunday? I think it's funny. We put out an ACC Panic Room a little bit later yesterday for two reasons. One, I was at the hockey rink. I was in Invisalign until midnight on Saturday. And then I was super, super tired. And then Brownlow, I think, was going to go see Wicked in the morning. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just do it later in the afternoon. And then the Panthers interfered. Right? The Panthers made it really, really close. And in fact, there's an OG sports phone call that we got that encapsulates what was happening in the fourth quarter between the Panthers and the Chiefs.
919-444-2211. Call the OG sports phone and curse or don't.
Bro, what is happening right now, bro? Bro, what is going on?
I thought that absolutely encapsulated what happened. So I think after putting together some thoughts as to what I watched yesterday, specifically that fourth quarter between the Panthers and the Chiefs, is a classic two things can be true at once. Okay. I do think that the big winner in this game wasn't the Chiefs for pulling it out and Patrick Mahomes doing the big things. The big winner wasn't my backyard neighbor Rick and his son Owen. Owen is a huge Patrick Mahomes guy. You know, there's an entire generation that just grew up loving Steph Curry because of all the craziness that he's been able to pull off. Patrick Mahomes has the same effect on the Utes. That's why Bank of America Stadium was a lot of red. Not because Kansas City fans travel, it's because people wanted to see Patrick freaking Mahomes do Patrick Mahomes things. And sure enough, with $1:46 left after the Panthers tied it up after a 2-point conversion, I think we all knew what was going to happen, right?
Yeah.
I texted Rick after the game. I'm like, well, at least Owen got to see the GOAT do GOAT things. And he said, yeah, man, when I saw how much time was left, I went, it's over. I think everybody had the same thought. And sure enough, Patrick Mahomes continues to do it with his legs, which I think has been the key story of the season for the Chiefs. But we can put the Chiefs conversation to aside for a second because I do think the big winner in this game was Bryce Young. Bryce Young was the big winner. So much so, if you don't believe me that he was the winner, I want you to listen to Dave Canales. After the game.
Did we finally get a little flowers?
Close.
Like a carnation, not quite a rose.
We didn't get, I got to look at the tape.
Holiday mix.
No. I didn't get, we got to look at the tape. We'll talk about it on Monday. Tell the truth Monday. No. Dave Canales left no doubt about Bryce Young going forward.
Coach, when you talk about the last drive where you scored, what can it do for Bryce as a leader just to take that and go with it and score?
Yeah, it's the whole group, but certainly it's Bryce making the most of his opportunities, and he's making a statement to all of us, and showing us that he can make plays in critical areas and really play within what we're asking him to do. And to extend, he did a great job of extending plays today, which is a huge part of our offense that can really make us, more attacking in that way.
Dave, given what you said just there, are you at a point now where you take the week-to-week label off of Bryce and name him the starter?
Yeah, I don't have to make any statements. He's making it for himself. He's continuing to show us the progress we're looking for, bringing our skill players to life. Xavier played the X position today, so just kudos to Xavier as well, just taking on a new role. And finding some success there, a couple plays he'd love to have back, I'm sure. He'll be the first to tell you. But talking about Bryce, it's the coaching staff, it's his teammates. He's showing us, what he can do when he's out there.
So we can expect him to start next Sunday.
Absolutely.
Look at that, Joe.
But it's still the first answer. He's asked about Bryce specifically.
I know.
And his first answer was, well, it's the whole group.
I know.
Okay.
When he was given a second question about Bryce, what did he do? We brought up Liget.
Liget. Yeah, he played
Right?
the X.
Like the X, man.
So he's a little bit of a weird dude.
But he said,
Finally, yeah.
made a statement with his play.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
have to
good.
say much. Okay, all right, I see you, Slick. I see you, Slick. And then when good on Joe Person from the Athletic saying, yeah, cool. Is he starting? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Done. There we go. But then again, you go back to week 2. He also said he was starting. He did. But no, all jokes aside.
Hit the button, man.
Hit the button. You ready to be told something good
Yeah,
about
hit
all
the button.
this?
Tell me something good.
The same team that was a total and complete embarrassment on September 8th.
Mhm.
The same team just played the Super Bowl champs toe-to-toe for 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. That's remarkable progress.
Mhm.
That's number one.
Mhm.
Number two, I said the sign of a good coach was what did they do after that open date? They came out, they played football this week. So that's a good sign for Canales and the Panthers moving forward. The defensive line continues to be very good and making no sense of it, right?
Mhm.
Like they let their best player go or they traded him, but they gave him away really for what they could have gotten for Burns. Yet they have players making plays on their defensive front. So good for them. The pressure they were getting in the fourth quarter was the reason for their success defensively. Ultimately, I look at this team and at the beginning of the year, this was like you ever go to either your own formal event, like a wedding or maybe like a high school dance.
Sure.
And, I'm the kind of person that tries to like mix and match like the Target pants with the Target jacket.
Mhm.
Right. And you're just doing the best you can, man. But like, then you see someone with like a real suit, like a tailored suit. And you're like, damn, that person really has their shit together.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're like, well, I'm over here trying to make it work with my Target pants and my Target jacket.
This was me at a bat mitzvah on Saturday,
Right.
where I was trying to slap together something that was business casual for me.
Sure.
Right? Like, true story. This is a true story. Jacob looks at me, blazer, white tee, nice pants, and my desert boots from Clark's, because you got to have the staples, right? And he looks at me, he goes, "You just look like you're going to the arena to talk to Rod Brindamore." And I was like, yeah, Jacob, that's business casual for me.
Yeah.
And then I show up to the temple, to the synagogue, and everybody's like fresh to death. I'm like, oh, see, this is what people look like when they have their act together.
Right.
I don't.
That's the Panthers at the beginning of the year. You're
Yeah.
like, why are you here with your Clark boots on?
Yeah.
And the other people are like, looking really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's a credit to the Panthers that they're now in that church. They're now in that high school dance, and you can't tell them apart.
Yeah.
They've officially entered their bourbon phase. Okay. Bourbon, as I've learned, you can have a $400 bottle of bourbon.
Sure.
You can have a $200 bottle of bourbon. You can have the Old Taylor, which is what, $30 for the handle?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And they're all made by the same people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you can look at them and go, oh, I can't tell them apart. But then you open them and then you drink them and you're like, oh shit, I can tell the difference. But you had to inspect.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't on first glance.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they are. They're in their bourbon phase.
Okay. Every bro goes through their bourbon phase. Congratulations to the Panthers.
Yes.
You reached it. I reached mine in the pandemic. We had nothing to do.
It's quite an accomplishment if you think about where they
I agree.
started the year.
No, I agree. I completely agree with you on that. And I think too, and look, this is to Bryce Young's credit. And I think he ultimately was the winner of the weekend. There's two separate conversations to be had. There's one about the Panthers as we're having, and then there's one nationally about the Chiefs, which we'll get to in a second. But the way that it was interpreted when I watched some of the national shows after the fact, like, Bill Cowher or Fox or NBC, right? They all kind of said the same thing in that, like, hey, man, they might actually have something here with Bryce Young. Now, might, could, maybe. He's looked good. Is he looking like the overall number one pick that was worth everything that you gave up to get him?
He was never going to be that.
The quick answer to that is no, because yes, he was never going to be that. But I will say this about where Bryce Young has taken the Panthers or how he looks. Dave Canales, and I absolutely believe this, and I have all the evidence based on his post-game press conferences and his Monday press conferences to believe this, that he was out on Bryce Young. Out.
Yeah.
And his insistence on going back to Andy Dalton was not having confidence that Bryce Young was going to be able to run the offense he wanted him to run. You need more evidence for that? Go look at the first game with Andy Dalton and how they played and what the playbook looked like. And then go back to when they had to go back to Bryce Young, how conservative they were. And even when they showed flashes of Bryce Young being able to throw the ball, right? Those lobs, man. I mean, like some real big Russell Wilson energy lobs that are just going to the right place. Anticipatory throws, if you will. All of those things were not allowed to be flashed because Dave Canales did not believe that he could do it. So all these people that are lauding Bryce Young about, hey, man, he stood in the pocket, he took hits. Look, man, he did that last year. And he's done that this year. Nice that everybody's finally catching up with that. Bryce Young's always been capable of standing in the pocket. Bryce Young's always been able, for as much talk as there's been about his diminutive size, he actually can take a hit. He keeps getting up, offensive line aside. Just nobody's believed in the ability to do it, or his playmakers were letting him down, all those kinds of things. So I give Bryce Young a lot of credit for being able to essentially wrest that job back with his play. Otherwise, he never was going to get it because they were looking for that one mistake to go ahead and give it back to Andy Dalton. So Bryce has absolutely earned where he's at right now. I also think, and again, you can change your opinion as you get more data and everything else, and as the season goes on, stories change. I'm starting to think now more and more that Bryce Young is forcing the Panthers to do something I've been screaming all year, and that is they're probably going to bring him back, and they're not going to draft a quarterback. They shouldn't draft a quarterback with their first pick. They absolutely should not. I am not sold on this class. People do this all the time. Oh, this class. No, I am not sold on this class. There's
only two players,
and you're not going to get them based on what's going to happen
where
right
they're
now,
picking,
where they're going to be picking. So draft somebody on defense. If you want to be bold, if you are Dave Tepper and you want to make a splash at the draft, what you do is you put yourself in position to get Travis Hunter. That's what you do. not a quarterback. I think you're making a face. I'm just saying.
And I like Travis Hunter, but I don't. I mean,
I'm simply saying if that's how you want to make a splash, that's how you do it.
Sure.
Plus, you avoid the whole Dion bullshit. So that's what I'm saying.
I love how you don't think they're going to end up together in some sort of package.
Oh, they're going to be. No, I'm with you on that. They're going to be the Dallas
coach.
Yeah, they're going to be the Dallas Cowboys coach and quarterback next year, and maybe Dak Prescott ends up being the. Maybe he ends up being the Panthers quarterback for all we know.
Yeah,
but you get what I'm getting with where I'm going with this. It puts the Panthers in a position where they seriously have to consider how they bridge to the next quarterback and utilize Bryce Young's rookie contract to bridge to the next quarterback. That bridge could be a free agent hire, or it could be that you're going to be picking in the next draft, or you find some diamond in the rough. Later in the draft, that could be your guy.
Let's do two things here.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do two you were rights as a collective OG.
Sure.
Number one, we said, bring him back, let him play the last month. Right. Okay. Here we go. We're on that. What did we say in the preseason when they didn't play in the preseason?
I don't remember.
We said in the preseason, what are you doing? Why are you acting like you're the Chiefs? Why are you acting like you're the 49ers?
Oh, sure.
So they were so horrendous in those first two games, which really probably set the guy back this full season, if you think about it.
Yeah, I agree.
How is that not on the coach? How is that not on whatever the organizational thought was? Oh, no. We're good with the practices.
I think that was the organizational approach, not Dave Canales'
Okay,
approach.
well, it was a horrendous mistake.
Oh, I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Because as we've seen, there's no reason that they should have lost to the Saints the way that they did in that opener. There's not a single reason that they weren't ready to play in those first two football games this year. So that goes back to being on them. But you know what? You live and you learn from your mistakes. They're on their way. Their schedule is tough down the stretch. That's no joke. I mean, you look at it, truly, there's only one win on there for them. But hey, after the way that they played on Sunday, they should have the confidence that they can beat any of these teams in front of them.
All right, to the rest of the NFL, as I mentioned, there's the Chiefs aspect to this. I was curious, having their undefeated streak come to an end by the Buffalo Bills, that they would come out and breathe fire. Remind you, we're still the Chiefs. And in a way, they did.
It was 27-16, right on that 10.5, 11 number that the Vegas had for him, which is just remarkable.
In a way, that was remarkable.
What? How do they do this?
In a way, they did, with the way that Patrick Mahomes ends up winning that game for the Chiefs at the end with that final drive, right? But I thought of you when I saw that they didn't cover the spread, ended up being a last-minute victory with a field goal. If you have a Chiefs futures ticket, what's the option? Just cash it out now?
I would pay me to, if you're a Bills fan, seriously, you should be paying me right now to make sure I do not cash any of my Chiefs tickets.
Now, I understand that the Chiefs did this last year, and I was very much on board. You know what, man? Let me wait till we get to the playoffs. That's still in play for the Chiefs.
Yeah, you got to show me the body when it comes to the Chiefs.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you were hedging, they're not looking like a team. Somebody's going to catch them. Somebody's going to catch them in the playoffs if you were hedging. But to your point, I'm with you on that. I'm definitely with you on that. We ended up having another text from where did it go? It was from a 336. Hang the banner in Uptown. Almost beat the worst Chiefs team in the Mahomes era. From a 919. If the Chiefs had a climate-controlled stadium, Tyreek Hill would have stayed, and they would have won a Super Bowl. Joe Giglio, probably.
Twice. Yes.
They would have won a Super Bowl twice.
They count as doubles.
Elsewhere, Saquon Barkley is your MVP, right? We're caught up in Josh Allen. We're caught up in Lamar Jackson.
Saquon Barkley is easily the story of the year, and he single-handedly sunk one franchise, and he did it in real time on Hard Knocks. I mean, that's the stinger in all of this for the Giants. That he went to their rival is like that's just the cherry on top.
There is a clip that says, "I will lose sleep if he ends up with the Eagles."
Yeah,
sure enough, he's ending up with the Eagles. And look, the Eagles get a lot of credit for where they were earlier this year, and everybody freaking out, and Nick Sirianni having some strange behavior, and that dude was as good as fired. And they're not having the collapse that we saw last year. They're just getting stronger.
They are.
They're
getting better.
Yeah.
They're getting better. That's what happens. It's old school, though. You got a quarterback who can run. You got a running back who can run. It's dangerous. They're the Ravens. They're the same team.
Speaking of turning things around, We're doing it, Joe.
I know.
The Dolphins, baby.
Tell your dad I don't have any tickets. I cashed all of those out, so we don't have to worry.
3 in a row. People are feeling it. They're in the wild card's not solidified yet. The Dolphins are there. We got playoff implications on a Thursday night Thanksgiving between the Packers and the Dolphins.
Oh God, they have to go there on Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's not
which gets to where I was going with the Miami Dolphins. Let's see, who have they beaten on this 3-game winning streak? Who are they beating, Joe?
Nobody, and nobody.
Right. Who are they playing on Thursday? In the cold.
Somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's not fair to the Rams. They did beat the Rams on the road. On the Rams last night.
I was going to say, are we really buying the Rams?
No.
The Rams are kind of mid, dude.
I'm going to give them a little bit of
Nope.
love.
I'm not doing it. I'm absolutely not doing it. And the Dolphins, man, I'll say this about the Dolphins. I might have dismissed Tua Tagovailoa and what he meant to that offense. Like, the thought that you or not that I want to go full Melissa Stark on the broadcast last night, where she's like, oh yeah, Jason Kelsey told me that they could push me into the end zone, right? And I'm pretty sure Chris Collinsworth said, not a chance, and went right back to just calling the game. Anyway, I'm not saying that you or I could run the offense when you've got Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill and all this other stuff, right? A healthy offense.
They're a game out of the wild card. Yeah.
But to me, the fact that Mike McDaniel's super system cannot run with Tua Tagovailoa makes me go, well, you know what? Maybe I underestimated his value. You can't put any old jabroni in there and expect to get the same results. Tua's just really good at running what Mike McDaniel wants to do, and that's what makes it worth it. So I will say this, though. Dolphins defense is playing a little bit better, but until it's like the opposite of the Chiefs, show me the body. With the Dolphins, it's all right, man. Show me who you've actually beaten worth a damn. That'll get me to buy into the fact that you are a true playoff contender.
It's going to be hard for them. Even though they're only a game out, it'll be hard for them to get there.
It's tough
because Baltimore and Denver are the teams that are right in front of them.
It's tough. Also tough. My Commanders, man. I thought I was feeling the Commanders earlier this year. The Eagles have obviously turned things around, and then they have the drunk game against the Cowboys, which they lose. We them boys. They're back. Where are we on the We them boys cycle? Where are we on that? More likely to be a Panthers quarterback next year, Dak Prescott or Daniel Jones?
Ooh, I told you. I am rooting for Jerry Jones to sign Daniel Jones for the Thanksgiving game this week. Obviously, Cooper Rush making that difficult with being lucky this week. But man, that would have been hysterical if they had signed Daniel Jones to play against the Giants on Thanksgiving.
And lastly, Tuesday will be Aaron Rodgers' Super Bowl.
Tuesday.
That's
not a game.
No,
not a game.
No, it is the game for him. It's the game for him. It's his Pat McAfee appearance.
Oh, okay.
His scheduled Pat McAfee appearance is on Tuesdays. They were coming off an open week. And as much as Aaron Rodgers tried to hijack the narrative weekend, because there's too much drunk football to be played, we've got all sorts of inside palace intrigue coming out about, well, he's hurt, but he doesn't want to come off the field and all this other crap. He's more hurt than you want to give him credit. But, if he gets healthy, he's still good. He wants to play next year, but maybe not with the Jets and all this other stuff.
2 or 3 years, he said. Yeah.
Right. Sure. So it's pretty clear that the situation is soured in New York. Shocking. Between Woody Johnson and Aaron Rodgers. And you're getting the Woody Johnson version of the story after they've fired Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas. And now Aaron is not going to take that lightly. So that's why Tuesday will be his Super Bowl on the McAfee show, because there's nothing else that he's playing for this year. I mean, the Jets stink. I'll be curious. And all I can say is I'm happy that everybody else is finally on the same page when it comes to Aaron Rodgers. Friday deals on Black Friday deals with our corporate champions, all thanks to our friends at Roback. We got a promo code OG20, but right now you go to roback.com, RHOBACK. Save that promo code for yourself. Take advantage of the Black Friday sales that's going on right now, Joe.
Unbelievable merch. Go and get it. The golf stuff, worth its weight in gold.
Big thanks to the Butcher's Market. Thebutchersmarkets.com is the website. Too late for Thanksgiving, but that doesn't mean to get it all catered, right? That doesn't mean you can't go to the Butcher's Market and cheat.
Wednesday, I'm going to have a steak sandwich on Wednesday at Lake Boone.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're going to pick up sides and say that you made them yourself? The game is cheating, Joe.
Cheat. Yes. Do it to it.
That's what you got to do. You go there, you cook it, you put it in your own container, and just like, oh my, this is fantastic. Oh yeah, it's a recipe for Brussels sprouts that have been passed down in my family.
I know we've talked about this before. I feel like you don't have the same experience as I do, but Wednesday used to be one of my favorite days of the year.
And that is because?
Wednesday was traditionally when I would go back to New Jersey. You go back to your hometown.
Oh, that's when you hang out.
You go to the bar on Wednesday
night.
I
never experienced
catch up with everybody.
I never experienced that. That's not a thing that I did.
Wednesday was a thing, man.
Were you looking like Baker Mayfield in New York?
Yeah.
Doing, hey, Tommy
Cutlets.
Making a pizza. Tommy Cutlets. Italian American discrimination.
You're making a pizza. I'll put my tracksuit on. I'm making a pasta.
Do you have a tracksuit?
I do not own a tracksuit.
Go to thebutchersmarkets.com. It's not even a home field read. We're not even doing a travel dump there.
Own a tracksuit.
Big thanks to Breeze Through. You're going to be doing some traveling. Get the gas. Get the goodies. Get the snacks. All at Breeze Through before you get on the road.
Get a fatty.
Here, what is the fatty again?
It's a meat stick. It's delicious.
Okay. By the way, speaking of Thanksgiving, you want to win. I talked about sides. Desserts are key. 2 Roosters. Bring ice cream for Thanksgiving.
Oh my God. Wait a second.
What?
Okay. They have the chocolate chess pie. Okay. Which I ordered.
Yeah.
Are you ready? You can still order yours, by the way.
Yeah.
Are you ready for the other pie that they have available for Thanksgiving? This is right in your wheelhouse. You are going to be powering through. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Sure. What are you giving to me?
They have a peanut butter brownie pie.
Okay.
Peanut butter brownie.
That sounds good.
It's peanut butter, like a Oreo, but there's chunks. I mean, with Oreo base.
Oh, geez.
Peanut butter with chunks of brownie in the pie.
Jeez.
Sir.
Take advantage.
Get it.
Yeah, and take advantage now because I do want to give a heads up as to what's going on. 2 Roosters will be closed from November 28th through December 2nd. They're going to give everybody a break, a little Thanksgiving break. So go ahead and get all this stuff to bring to your Thanksgiving feast right now. Do not delay at all. Just do not delay on this. Speaking of cheating on the sides, just go to Sam Jones, get the collards, bring that for your Thanksgiving bonanza.
I would do the beans.
Beans too?
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Well, I like their mac and cheese.
And
it's not for everyone.
Yeah, I understand
It's good though.
Also, you might be having people in town.
It's not fancy. It's just good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's not like, oh, I want bells and whistles and extra. No. It's straight up mac and cheese.
If you are, if you're staying around and you got people coming to town and they're like, I want to have some of that North Carolina barbecue. Take them to Sam Jones.
Yeah.
Take them to Sam Jones this weekend. That's what it's all about. So big thanks to Sam Jones for sponsoring the lightning round. Let's get to some ACC hoops where, best I can tell, Joe, Duke's just feeling good, man.
Hey, girl.
Vibes are good. It started off the week with John Shire at shooting practice. Did you see this clip?
I did.
John Shire just showing the kids he's still got it. 2 balls are still cold. You can get some makes. And he just keeps, if you're watching on YouTube, you can just see him just draining threes from the corner, man. Like, it's 2010 all over again for John Shire, right? I don't know if he can still run point, but that's another matter altogether. He can still spot up in the corner and hit some threes. So they're feeling good, man. Then they go to Arizona on the road, places hype. And the Duke social media account decided to put this out before the game. Everybody's hyped up. And then you see a Proctor dunk. I think you see Cooper Flag, couple shots there. There's a Knipple 3. After the game, all the lights, all the fanfare in the trash can. Off they go. So, Joe, Duke's feeling it.
They are feeling it. Good. And they get Kansas tomorrow out in Vegas. That'll be another big test for them. I love the way that Knipple played in the second half, really understanding the moment.
Mm-hmm.
He is their shooter. He is their scorer.
Yes.
Okay. And it's important that he embraces that role. Flag, I thought, was outstanding on the defensive end in this game and on the glass. Jay Billis, man, he needed to change his pants a couple of different times. He got himself so excited. I stayed up. I watched this game, by the way.
I couldn't stay up.
I stayed up. I watched this whole. I had money on Duke because there's no possible reason they should have been an underdog in this game.
I watched the first half live, then I zonked out. So
Jay Billis was going on and on and on about the rebounding, but the rebounding is about toughness. So that is a key part of what Duke has struggled with in this one and done era. Are your players mature enough to understand the physicality? Well, check. They took care of that at Arizona. Love the way that Knipple played. Flag expanding. Okay. Expanding and understanding. He is the bus driver. And they know he's the bus driver.
He's the what, Joe?
He's the
Tell us who drives the bus. Tell us who drives the bus.
I love that there was a complaint about the noise and then you make that into a beat. I mean,
well,
perfecto.
Brian made it into a beat.
Yeah, perfecto.
And my brother probably had the best thing. He's like, I hate that noise, but damn, that's catchy. That's Brian for you, man.
And I know you might be confused. Well, who's the bus driver? Who's the scorer? Right. Knipple's the scorer. Flag's the bus driver.
There's a difference. There is a difference to this.
Good for them. And the league needs that. I know there were some people who were like,
so
blah, 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 blah.
It's interesting. It's interesting you mentioned that. I can't help but think we're just doing last year all over again when it comes to the ACC. Duke and Carolina, with their talent, are going to be the top of the league. They're the ones that are the surefire thing. I get all that stuff. We had talked to West Durham about this last week. Who's that third squad? Well, Pitt, I was talking about this with Brownlow yesterday as well. If you go by Ken Palm, you go by how they've looked so far, Pitt would look like the team that could be the third squad, the team that could surprise. Losing to Wisconsin, not in and of itself bad, but those are the kinds of wins you need for the ACC to kind of erase that conversation that we've had the last couple of years.
Yeah, they're playing in the Greenbrier bunker, and they come out on fire. I think it was 22-8 early. They were really in control of this game early, played really well to open this game.
Yeah.
And Wisconsin, if you haven't seen them yet, may have finally embraced integration. So I'm happy for Wisconsin. But this is a pretty good Wisconsin team.
Yeah.
And I looked at this game and I thought to myself, I thought Pitt got piped last year. I thought they deserved to be in the NCAA tournament. These are the kind of games, though, that you have to be able to go back and point to and say, hey, see what I did against another team that you have in the field. The good sign, though, is the way that they had started this game. I actually do think Wisconsin's pretty legit this year.
Now, Pitt has another opportunity against Ohio State. They're going to be playing in Columbus. We'll see how that plays out. But also, you look across the league. Like, speaking of West Durham, shout out to Elon, the Fighting Phoenix, right? Getting over on
the Wolf Blood
on
Dorn
on Notre Dame. In that, Notre Dame was kind of viewed as a spunky ACC basketball squad this year. Unfortunately. They take that 84-77 loss to Elon. Again, I'm not knocking Elon. Good for the Phoenix. And then NC State is 5-0, but we're going to find out a lot this week about NC State. So far, their schedule has been USC Upstate, Presbyterian, Coastal Carolina, Colgate, and William & Mary. These are our opponents, according to Ken Palm: 341, 196, 304, 254, and 212. In Ken Palm.
You talk about a real battle that's going to be brewing this offseason. It's going to be for the soul of the Dorn family.
Yeah.
You have Torn Dorn.
Yeah.
Wolf Blood.
Right.
You have his dad, Dorn. Obviously, Tar Heel football player. And his brother Miles, football player, right? They have a younger brother, Nick, kind of like your younger brother.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. way younger.
Nick's a little bit younger here.
just a smidge.
Sophomore at Elon this year. He's got his 2 games against ACC opponents. 17 in the Smith Center, 24 at Notre Dame. Why is this kid not at either State or Carolina? Can somebody help me with this, please? So what is he going to be? Because right now he's both. He's Tar Heel. He's Ram Blood and Wolf Blood. We'll see what he ultimately gets to be. The league itself, Miami's been underperforming, right? And you're kind of looking for that depth. You're kind of looking for something out there. Louisville's another one, I think, who we've all kind of looked at and circled and said, what can they be? Clemson losing to Boise.
You mentioned Miami.
Ooh.
They have losses to Drake, Oklahoma State, and VCU. Those are all could have been quality wins for the Hurricanes.
You got to rack a few of those.
Yes.
My personal highlight of the weekend, and not just because I won money on it improbably, but you probably were signs you have a gambling problem. You probably were not awake Saturday night when Santa Clara lost to Stanford. And did you see the sequence that had actually happened? So you have Santa Clara coached by Herb Sendek playing against Stanford. Well, Stanford ends up scoring a basket with 2 seconds left by Jalen Blake's, the Duke transfer.
Right.
All I could think about was poor Herb. He still can't get over on Duke.
Yeah.
The poor bastard.
Yeah.
If he had only beaten Reddick in 2003, he'd still be State's basketball coach. But here he is, 22 years later, and Duke is still putting it in his ear inexplicably. I mean, the guy cannot catch a break.
Well, speaking of all the ties that bind for conference stuff, going back to Duke, Arizona, Tar Heel for life.
For life.
What happened?
He looked like a pro to me.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people said this.
RJ Davis is in the same boat, by the way.
He looked like a guy who was just kind of like, I'm here, I'm making a lot of money. I still love basketball. But like, even he was like trying to calm one of his teammates down who got a technical. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, we've reached a point where
he's an old
Caleb
head.
Love is the voice of reason.
He's the old head, man.
Right?
It's kind of funny how that works out.
I meant to text Ethan to see if we got the shoes. Did we get the Tar Heel for life on the shoes?
I didn't see it. I did not see it.
It's jumping down the lightning round. Where's the lightning round? Where's the lightning round?
We're going to spend some more time on this tomorrow. Luke DeCock at the News and Observer is going to drop on by. But the Carolina Hurricanes, all the positive vibes of the start of the season, you're starting to see some cracks in it, and it's all there in the net. Freddie Anderson is out for an additional, 8 to 12 weeks?
Yeah, Freddie's at least 3 months.
3 months, right? Because of a lingering knee issue. It's all right. It's Pyotr Kochekhov's time. We talked about this last week with Mike Maniscalco. In order for it to be your time, you got to be healthy. And there was a moment in overtime in their loss to Columbus over the weekend where Sean Walker collided into him. He was motionless there for a bit. He gets him and goes. Rob Burnhamore after the game, paraphrasing, saying, didn't look good, but in classic hockey fashion, we have zero idea of what's going on with Kochetkov. They're back in action after that 3-game road trip tonight at Lenovo Center. So there's a lot of hand-wringing as to what's going to happen with the goalie situation. Do the Carolina Hurricanes, not knowing the status of Kochetkov, do they ride it out with Spencer Martin and Yannick Peretz? There's also like a young Russian goalie who I can't pronounce his name, but he has like 5 AHL starts, something like that. Anyway, it's ride it out with Spencer Martin and Peretz and see what happens with Kochetkov. Or do you make a move with the limited cap space that you have? And there's only so many. Look, Tulski's a G. Don't get me wrong, man. Yeah. Tulski knows every nook and cranny of how to manipulate the cap space and make things work. But you're essentially looking for around $1.5 million in cap space to work with in an already difficult goalie market, knowing your situation, other teams know your situation. The only thing going for the Carolina Hurricanes in this situation is that they can take a goalie with some years on his contract if they want and work it around that, because Freddie doesn't, he's got an expiring deal.
Right.
So that's my attitude, by the way. My attitude with all of this comes down to one real simple thing. Ride it out.
Yeah, certainly.
Ride it out.
Certainly for this month.
Yes. Ride it out.
You see what you can do. I mean, you enact the Zamboni driver protocols.
Yep.
You protect what you can in front of you.
Yep.
And then you can evaluate in December to see where Kochetkov is. Can you get the Kochetkov back? No coincidence there that it was Columbus beating them in the shootout. Our guy Don Waddell. I am rooting for Columbus. I mean, it's impossible not to root for Columbus this year with the tragedy that they went through. So, losing to the Devils, not great, Bob. But listen, it's a long
season,
year, and I'm with you. You ride it out. You give it a month at minimum. You give it a month.
Let's see. Ruslan Kazavyev. Did I pronounce that right?
You're asking me?
Yeah. He's 20.
Nice.
He's 20.
Nice.
Let's put him out there. I'm assuming he's Russian. I might have made a mistake. Who knows? Either way, Panthers, Hurricanes, write it out. Did we just take a hockey break?
Take a break. Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Hill.
Yeah, we did take a hockey break. You're also going to need to take a post-Thanksgiving break from rich food and pie and ice cream and everything else. You need to go to Happy and Hail. In fact, I would pregame with Happy and Hail this week. All right? Pregame.
Just get it all ready. Prime the pump.
Get yourself
cleared
right
out
so that you're smoothie all the way to Thursday. Smoothie today, tomorrow, Wednesday, so that you're locked in on Thursday. And then you can worry about roughage next week. But that's what you can do with Happy and Hail. Look, I'm joking about the healthy options, right? But I think we all understand this lament. You don't have time. You need to pick up something quick. And a lot of your fast options aren't exactly the healthiest options out there. And if you are going to go healthy, you're going to feel sometimes like not satisfied. I never leave Happy and Hail unsatisfied.
No.
Food is great ingredients, leaves you full, a lot of protein. It's all good. It's all at Happy and Hail, so go check them out. Big thanks to Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. It's getting cold out, which means the indoor of your house might be a spot that the critters want to go to. So make sure that does not happen and contact our friends at Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. You can check them out at bugsbite.com. You can bundle and save. Speaking of your home, look, you might find that this is a year where your house is just bursting at the seams. You can no longer, your family's getting bigger, you're having more people coming over, and your house cannot handle that entertainment anymore. You need a bigger house. You need new construction. My Hometown Realty can help you out with that. So check them out at myhtr.com. And of course, speaking of family, I know I will be taking part in this. I will be headed to Nature's Relief this week so that I can handle my father-in-law and my brother-in-law while they watch football on Thanksgiving.
My sister actually texted me yesterday. She's like, I'm pretty sure I need a blueberry chiller for Thursdays. You got it.
You got it.
No problem. Take care of that.
I will certainly need it for Thursday. They've got what you need at Nature's Relief Hemp Store. Check them out across the triangle. All right, let's rip through some UNC therapy, shall we?
Yeah.
I think that's where we're at right now.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports phone and curse or don't.
All right, a little context here. This first one came in from a 919 number on Friday.
Hi, I'm just watching this Friday thing about the NC State thing on Thursday night. And all I really got to say is little brother's going to throw a tantrum every once in a while.
Okay, so that was Thursday. UNC fan. These state people. Of course, they go out there. They go up to Chestnut Hill. They lay an egg against the Eagles. Well, that gets us to the sports phone calls.
Good Sunday morning, boys. Not such a good Sunday morning for Carol. Catch that shit show in Chestnut Hill? I'm telling you. That's the bowl game Carolina's going to end up in, the toilet bowl. And Mac, please go and kiss my end zone.
Kiss my end zone. Whoa. Kiss my end zone. Goodness gracious.
Whoa.
Okay. Whoa. Next on the sports phone, this is from a 704 number.
Hey guys, it's Paul. As far as my comment about the Carolina BC game, I have no comment. We're on to NC State. And as a side note for NC State, a 5-6 NC State playing a 6-5 Carolina at the end of the year, that just feels right, doesn't it? It feels nice. It feels nice coming back to things that make sense. And two teams fighting to be king of the dipshits at 500 feels right for NC State, Carolina.
That's why I'm wearing this shirt, man. You've made us proud. Although maybe we can get our guys to work this graphic and just put King of the Dipshits. Maybe that's what we do. Maybe that's what we do. All right, this
made us proud. That I think it's phenomenal.
Well, I mean, the whole point of this shirt is that it was the back-to-back 82, 83, right?
Yeah.
So some
national championship
basketball.
Yeah.
So somebody bootlegged this thing with the graphics and everything else. I mean,
those graphics have held up well. Are we sure it's from?
Yes. Yes, trust me.
It's kind of like that soda that was like popping fresh dough that we got.
Man. No, this shirt is an amazing.
Did you get hat again?
Look at how sheer this is. It has stains on it. Like, trust me.
Did you get God again?
No, I did not get. It has stains on it. Like, yeah, trust me. This is an old shirt. All right, this is from a 919. This is from a 919 number.
Hello, Larry. Lawrence? Is it Larry or Lawrence from Indiana? I'm not sure what you go by. The game yesterday against Boston College was laughable, to say the least. I called in after the Duke game, and my clock's ticking here. Let me see if I can let everybody hear it here. Hold on. Tick, cuck, tick, cuck. Time to call the boat boys, Larry. The time is now. You know, the shine is off, and you've got to actually do your job. Again, 2 hires, 2 major program hires in 14 and a half years. The time is now. Seize it. Seize the day, Larry. Guess who's coming in next week? It's the boot-scootin'est, clod-hoppin'est, big donut in the world. Big Dave. And guess what he's always got for you? A football in your face, Larry. He's bringing the fighting Marshas with him from West Raleigh. And guess what they do? They, why don't we have what they have? But they put it all into one game, and they're going to be bowl eligible. And if they wipe you in this game 4 years in a row with a 75-year-old coach, whatever it is, I mean, the guy, midweek press conference last week, Art Chansky, I mean, what a douchebag that guy is. He called it. He said, Boston College is looking to be bowl eligible. They're going to punch you in the mouth. And he said, Art, yeah. Dude, you better get your shit together, man. Max buyout is $2.8 million? I mean, that's a Harris Teeter coupon. And you can talk about the house settlement, both of you guys. I mean, the house settlement be damned. That pie is going to be split. Everybody's going to carry that fucking load. I don't give a shit if it's Eddie House or House Party 2 or Ed McMahon in the fucking Publishers Clearinghouse. Who gives a fuck? Thanks for the hires on women's lacrosse and, you know, everything else. The Olympic sports, great. They're doing great. Thank you for that. These are the sports that matter. Do your fucking job.
That is up there. Eddie Smith is the boat boy, by the way, CEO of Grady White Boats. They gave all the money for Carolina football. This is an amazing release, by the way, because I had to look it up. It's from 2023, it looks like. In this release, it tells about how Eddie Smith and his family, it gives you this whole background. And, you know, here, this is the actual release on UNC EDU. This is not like inside Carolina. This is like
their actual website.
This is
university's
like the
website.
Schools. You ready for this?
Not the athletic department.
You ready for this?
Sure.
The Smiths have entertained the idea of making a significant gift to Carolina football for years. Longtime friends of Mac Brown and his wife Sally, Eddie and Joe Allison, were further encouraged by Brown's return to Carolina. Money talks, people. Bullshit walks.
From an 804 number.
Hey, Joes. This is Sean. Sitting here watching the end of this Carolina fiasco. And I know you guys are state guys, but I think I speak for all Carolina fans when I say, please, shut the hell up about how it's so clear Carolina's going to beat state. Last year is Ovies. This year is Giglio. Y'all are way too aware of what UNC football is to believe that. And also, let's get this hate week started right with a little that with the score up in Charlottesville with SMU, SMU will now be the 13th school to play in the ACC championship game in the last 21 seasons. That's 13 teams, including a school that has been in the ACC 1 year, and a school in Notre Dame that is not even in the ACC. And without divisions now for 2 years, why hasn't State made it yet? Maybe, just maybe, State is the reason State can't make the title game, not division.
This is why we do what we do. State and Carolina fans sniping at each other. Put it in my veins. This is from a 512 number.
Hey, what's up, Joes? I am now a transplant to Austin, Texas from the Triangle area, so I really appreciate you guys and staying connected to Triangle Sports. Absolutely love the podcast. Before moving, I was a long-time Carolina football ticket holder dating back to the Bunting era, so I've seen the highs and lows of this program. I was there rushing the field against Miami and State in my first years as a fan, so I know what it's like to experience both the excitement and frustration that comes with supporting this team. Now, as a transplant living in Austin, I've gained a new perspective on college football, and it's clear to me that if UNC wants to remain relevant in the modern landscape of college football, it's time for a change. Mac Brown has done some great things for this program, and I'll be the first to say that even the Longhorns recognize his value with their championship. But if UNC is serious about competing at the highest level, the reality is it's time to consider a new direction, just as Texas did when they made their coaching change. We've all seen the mediocrity, and frankly, it's getting old. Look at what Indiana has done this season. Going undefeated and placing themselves in playoff discussions, there's no reason Carolina can't be in the same conversation. If the goal is to keep hovering around 6-6 and making bowl games for the next few years, then sure, stick with the status quo. But if Carolina wants to compete for championships, it's time to make a bold decision and stop settling for mediocrity. Go Heels.
I absolutely love that folks who have moved from the area, but they still want some kind of connection to the Triangle to keep up with their Triangle sports.
The Heels had their own Signetti.
They did.
And Frank.
How'd that work out?
I thought Frank did a good job.
Frank
He
did
just
fine.
happened to be there for Bunnings last year.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that was perfectly fine. I'm hyped for this week.
Great moments in Carolina State history.
Right.
One Signetti brother at Carolina, one Signetti brother at State. Kurt recently told the story. I saw it on one of his, press conferences or one of his podcast deals. He said, "Yeah, man, my brother was at Carolina. Russell Wilson went to camp there. He said, hey, man, we're taking another quarterback, but I think this is the sound you're looking for." And the rest is history.
That's going to wrap it up for today's show. We'll be back tomorrow. Get a little bit more into the Canes, take some more sports phone calls, and, of course, get you hyped up for the Battle of Triangle Good. Do I wear this shirt again tomorrow?
I would recommend against not doing that.
Provided I don't have a rash after today.
I was going to say, I wouldn't wash it either. I think it's...
Yeah. Like I said, it's a little on the itchy side. And again, I don't know. You drop a lot of money on OG fans. I don't know. Maybe I'll send you a personalized picture of me without the flannel. I'm just saying. There's something out there for everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.